The calendar has turned to 2026, yet tens of millions of netizens are refusing to celebrate the new year. They are adamant about pulling someone who has been gone for over 100 days out of the darkness of 2025. On the stroke of midnight, a series of bizarre events unfolded in rapid succession. While authorities moved to block comment sections once again, the name Menglong appeared boldly across massive outdoor screens. A prominent influencer known as Guan Jang, the curator, faced a historic wave of mass returns and cancellations after hurling a single insult at him. Simultaneously, the capital magnates accused of involvement in the case saw their assets frozen and their trust funds collapse overnight. This is no longer a mere entertainment scandal. It has escalated into a high-stakes power struggle among four major factions within the Beijing elite, and a total war waged by the public against forgetting. Hey guys, Sean here. We've officially hit 2026. But for a lot of people, it feels like time stopped back in 2025. Not because they're feeling nostalgic, but because someone was never truly brought home. On New Year's Eve, the comment sections were locked down, his name was banned, and yet, there it was, flashing across giant screens in the real world. People are starting to realize that this isn't just another entertainment scandal anymore. This is about memory. It's a rebellion against being forced to forget. And today, we're going to dive into why the nightmare of 2025 is still haunting us in 2026. Because you never know how deep this hole goes. Even though the calendars have officially flipped to 2026, there's a massive community online whose hearts are still stuck in 2025. For them, if they can't bring him into the new year with them, then this new year doesn't mean a thing. That's right, today, we're still talking about that one name, Menglong. On the final day of 2025, while the rest of the world was celebrating, certain corners of the internet felt eerily tense. We previously talked about how the comment section on Menglong's Douyin account had finally been reopened. But in a shocking twist on December 31st, netizens discovered they had been shut down once again. This move by the authorities felt like a slap in the face. People feel toyed with, and frankly, they're absolutely furious. Since the comment sections have been gagged, netizens have been flocking to his old videos to leave their messages there instead. I want to read a few of these to you, and I have to tell you, they're truly gut-wrenching. One person wrote, December 31st, we're all out here celebrating. But what about him? What happened to his new year? Another said, Menglong, everyone is outside setting off fireworks. Why aren't you back yet to celebrate with us? Some were even more defiant, stating, we will carry him through every new year to come. No matter how bad the storms get in 2026, we're bringing him forward with us. This isn't just fandom or celebrity worship anymore, it's a stand. Like one netizen put it, I'm usually the type of person who loses interest fast, the flash in the pan type, but for some reason, I'm still here. Why? Because this is about justice and human dignity. Another person declared, no giving up until this is settled. Let them keep repeating their nonsense, I'll be watching. Even within the fan groups, a very specific ritual has started to emerge. One fan lit fireworks in front of his photo, and while gazing at his face, they whispered softly, Happy New Year.
新年快乐！
新年快乐！新年快乐！
新年快乐！
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 Because the authorities want to leave him behind, trapped in the darkness of 2025. And so, tens of millions of netizens are determined to pull him out so that he can walk under the sunlight of 2026. This overwhelming resolve clearly hasn't gone unnoticed by the authorities. In fact, just a few days ago on Weibo, something happened that was so absurd, people didn't know whether to laugh or cry. One netizen put up a post pointing out that Menglong actually made the list of the 100 most handsome faces of 2025. Now, normally, a ranking like that is pretty standard stuff to talk about, but Weibo's reaction was shocking. They hit the user with a warning, claiming the content triggered discussions that violate laws and regulations. Then, they immediately shadow banned the post, changing its status to visible to self only. The internet erupted instantly. Everyone was demanding to know, how on earth can mentioning those 3 words, his name, be considered a violation of the law? In his life, he was a kind soul, dedicated to charity and helping others. So why, after he's gone, has his very name become a sensitive word? Doesn't this just prove that the people blocking his name have a guilty conscience? It's like they're hiding something. Censorship always has its cracks, and right on the money on December 31st, 2025. Suddenly, on a massive outdoor screen in Shandong, Menglong's name and photo appeared, looking incredibly bold and dignified. Across the screen, the words read, "May the brilliant starlight light your way home. When the 100 flowers bloom, may their fragrance welcome your triumphant return." It brought so many people to tears. Some are saying this is an omen, that seeing his name up there on the big screen means the dawn is finally coming. Since we're on the subject, I want to ask all of you watching, do you think this outdoor display was just a fluke that slipped through the cracks, or was it a deliberate signal? Let me know what you think in the comments. Next, let's shift gears and talk about the Guan Jang incident that's been all over the news lately. This situation serves as a grim warning to every public figure out there. Never, under any circumstances, turn someone's life into a punchline. The Taiwanese influencer Guan Jang recently held a live stream as part of his plan to expand his business into mainland China. Reportedly, his debut was a major success. In just 20 minutes, he managed to pull in over $140,000 in sales. However, while he was live, a wave of netizens from mainland China flooded his comment section, hoping he would shed some light on Menglong's case. In reality, this was a desperate plea for help from fans who felt that since he was operating outside the mainland censorship system, he had more freedom to speak out. But how did Guan Jang react? He likely felt the topic was too radioactive to touch and saw the netizens as nothing more than troublemakers because he suddenly went on an aggressive tirade right there on the live stream. He snapped, "Is Menglong your father or something? Why should I give a damn about him?" He probably thought this spontaneous outburst would win him points with the mainland audience, but instead, he walked straight into a hornet's nest. The netizens who had originally bought his products just for the hype of his name were snapped back to reality. For them, this was no longer about political stances. It was about a fundamental respect for human life. As a result, a massive wave of return requests came flooding in, one after another. Netizens described it as a tsunami of returns, hitting the business with the crushing force of a collapsing mountain and a surging sea. There's a brilliant piece of analysis going around. Guan Jang probably assumed that as long as he went to mainland China, played nice, and waved the red flag of patriotism, the money would just start rolling in. What he failed to grasp, however, is what the Menglong case actually represents to the youth in China today. It's a collective outcry against social injustice and the sheer arrogance of the ruling class and corporate elites. There is a deep-seated rage buried in everyone's hearts, a desperate hope for someone to step forward and finally pry open the lid of this Pandora's box. Then out of nowhere, you, a foreign streamer, show up and essentially spit on that wound. Isn't that just asking for trouble? This whole situation serves as a powerful reminder that at the end of the day, what everyone cares about most is what actually went down during that dinner party of 17. Even though the authorities have officially ruled it an alcohol-induced accident, at this point, people don't believe a single word of that statement, not even the punctuation. Rumors continue to swirl online that several major players from the entertainment industry and the corporate elite were present that night. Their current status and whereabouts have remained under intense public scrutiny. And just recently, some new developments have started to surface. First, let's talk about actress Tian Hairong. A netizen recently leaked that her life has taken a devastating turn. Word is, $20 million of her equity has been frozen, and another $15 million in savings has been seized. Worst of all, she reportedly set up an offshore trust, a classic move to funnel her domestic earnings abroad while leaving her debts behind in China. But her asset protection scheme backfired completely. The trust was pierced and stripped clean, leaving behind nothing but an empty shell. Then there's the screenwriter, Ji Guang, who's in equally deep water. He recently lashed out at fans during a live stream, calling them poor and telling them to get lost if they couldn't afford it. The karma was instant. His follower count plummeted like water through a broken dam. He lost 12 million followers in a heartbeat, and 3 major brands cut ties with him overnight. As one comment put it, this isn't just about losing followers. It's the total collapse of trust. People aren't leaving because of his looks, but because they feel he's fundamentally dirty. Does the downward spiral these people are facing have a direct connection to the case? We don't have the legal authority to make that call, so we can't draw any definitive conclusions. However, in the eyes of the public, this is exactly what they mean when they say, what goes around comes around. Many of you might be wondering, why hasn't the government issued a clear, definitive statement yet? Public outrage is at a breaking point, and netizen sleuths have already exposed almost everyone involved. Why is it that some videos get through while other accounts are scrubbed overnight? The reality behind this is incredibly complex and shrouded in mystery. First, we have the Tang Ping lying flat faction. These people have already lined their pockets and sent their kids abroad. They couldn't care less who's in power, let alone the death of a single individual. Their motto is to avoid trouble at all costs. They've lost their humanity and are simply coasting through the day. Second is the big picture faction, or more accurately, the anti-Z camp. While they oppose the current leader, they still play by the rules of the system. They want to weaponize the Menglong case to attack their political rivals, but they aren't willing to flip the table just yet. They're terrified that social unrest could jeopardize their own future succession. This is why they are so ambiguous. They're holding this case as a trump card. Third is the military faction. These guys are more blunt but incredibly cunning. They are playing both sides, using the case as leverage to pressure their superiors. Word on the street is that those high-definition surveillance clips circulating online were filmed with military-grade equipment. They are the only ones with access to that kind of hard evidence. Finally, there's the Xi faction. This group is the most deeply entrenched. Their trademark is ruthlessness. They will stop at nothing to bury the truth. Right now, they aren't feeling remorse. They're just annoyed that they didn't clean up the mess more effectively from the start. Once you understand this power struggle, it makes sense why Bilibili might host a video while Weibo scrubs it instantly. It's because these factions are at war behind the scenes. However, this also reveals a brutal reality. Not a single one of these high-level power players actually cares about getting justice for Menglong. In their eyes, this case is nothing more than a bargaining chip, a mere tool to be used in their games. In the end, the only people who truly want justice for them are us, ordinary netizens. We are just strangers behind screens, lighting sparks in the dark, refusing to walk away. To wrap up today's program, I'd like to touch on a topic that leans a bit more toward the metaphysical. Late last year, a psychic named Shu Yu claimed to have received a message from Menglong. According to this message, the investigation will gain significant momentum starting in 2026. All the breadcrumbs, the hidden clues in the photos, that mysterious contract, and the nonsensical travel itinerary will finally start falling into place like pieces of a puzzle. The message also revealed that this isn't just about him, it's part of a massive, dark industrial chain. There are many other brothers and sisters, peers and colleagues in the industry who have fallen victim just like he did. She noted that this year, 2026, will be the year when karma truly accelerates. Whether this is just wishful thinking on the part of netizens or a hidden divine decree, we can't say for sure. But what we are seeing in reality is that the public simply refuses to give up. People are still digging into every single detail. They're still asking, who did those 2 Rolexes actually belong to? Where did that burly bodyguard, the pot-bellied guy who was always by his side, suddenly vanish to? Where did the scratch marks on the window screen come from? And why, after all this time, has the autopsy report never been released to the public? As long as these questions remain unanswered, the year 2025 will never truly be over. Lastly, I want to say a few words from the bottom of my heart. Some people might say, he's gone now, just let it rest. Let him find peace on the other side. But I believe the netizens hit the nail on the head. Don't just remember, demand results. Are we really going to let this rest and fade away? We aren't that easy to fool. The reason we are carrying this fight into 2026, the reason we are so persistent, is that we refuse to become desensitized to people vanishing in such a senseless way. We've grown so used to seeing their glitz and glamour in front of the camera that we forget the unimaginable darkness they might be enduring behind the scenes. If a major star can meet such a tragic end simply because they rejected the unspoken rules and chose to be a person of integrity, and if, even in death, their very name is treated as a forbidden subject, then where is the sense of safety in this society? In Xi Jinping's New Year's address, he stated that the people's sense of fulfillment, happiness, and security continues to grow. But for Yu's mother, who has lost her son, and for the millions of netizens who feel like a piece of their own hearts has been ripped out, where is this sense of happiness supposed to come from? As one netizen poignantly wrote, it turns out someone can appear so full of smiles in front of the camera, while behind it, they are enduring a level of pain that the outside world could never even begin to imagine. 2026 is already upon us. The road ahead may be long, and the truth might stay buried for a little while longer. But as long as we keep the conversation alive, keep sharing the story, and keep typing his name across our screens, he will never truly vanish. Even if the view count stays at 0, we must keep posting until the light finally breaks through the darkness. 2026 is already underway. Perhaps the truth won't surface today, perhaps not even tomorrow. But as long as there are those who still ask questions, who choose to remember, and who refuse to pretend they've forgotten, then this story is far from over. Because the greatest danger isn't the lie itself, but the moment everyone grows indifferent to someone's disappearance. Thank you for watching until the end. And if you're still watching this, maybe you're looking for the same thing I am.